And I'm going to share a screen. So welcome everybody to our first Water Monitor and Partners meeting of 2024. What I've got on tap for this evening is figuring out how to use Zoom again. Just a welcome, introduce, and some brief introductions. I'm going to go over our this year's training schedule, our training process, and other events that we have in the calendar. Talk about some changes that we're looking at for changing how we do our data entry for those who have been using Global Water Watch database who might be migrating to something else.
Great.
Talk about the new R cards that we're using. Talk about some things that we need to do just periodically with our equipment. An issue that's kind of a hot topic at this time of year, and get updates from everybody. And I'm going to kind of try to blast through my stuff so I have as much time as possible for everybody to share what's going on with them. So just to start, and then anything else that anybody wants to cover. So just to start, I thought we would go around and have people just do some quick introductions for who's here right now. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second, and I'll just kind of go around and just ask people to just say maybe who you are, if you're affiliated with the group, what group it is, and then if you have a bigger update later in the meeting, I'll have longer time for people to give a bigger update. So I'll just start. So I'm Eric Admin. I'm president of the Sno-King Watershed Council, and I'm also our water monitoring program coordinator. And I'll just call on people because you're in a certain order on my screen. So I'll call on Glenn and Linda Sue.
Yeah, I'm Glenn Heyman. Linda Sue and I are monitoring on Bear Creek and Stens Creek over by Parago Park. We're both retired, so we do this in all our spare time, right? And have a good time doing it.
Nice. How about Paul Sockwell?
Yeah, I've been involved with the water testing, and mainly with Eric over here, Eric Schramm, where we were doing Little Bear Creek, and now we're we've got other issues to deal with, but I'm trying to get back into the monitoring, and while Eric goes through his healing process.
Cool. How about Eric Strom? You're muted, Eric.
Now I'm unmuted. I'm not actually monitoring these days. I'm waiting for a back operation. But I am still taking care of supplies and some equipment. But eventually I just soon get back out and do Little Bear and Horse Creek and North and the other ones.
Thanks, Eric. How about Dalen?
Hello. Yep, my name's Dalen Gates. I am the GIS specialist recommended by Dr. Malone, who's going to be trying to help you guys move from your SQL-based site to a Survey 123 based surveying system. We'll talk a little bit more about the logistics of that later and what that's gonna kind of entail later. But I'm really excited to work with you guys. I really believe in what you guys are doing. Water quality and water body health is something that's very important. So thank you guys.
Thanks, Dalen. How about Gary Olson?
Yeah, hi, I'm Gary Olson. I am the treasurer of Thornton Creek Alliance, but also the lead for our monitoring program. And I'll be talking a little bit about that in a few minutes.
Okay. Bob and Kathy?
Bob and Kathy Lieber, we're members of Friends of Saltwater State Park, which is one of our sponsors. And this is State Park in Des Moines, and we're monitoring McSorley Creek.
Awesome. Lori Kojic.
Hi, I'm Lori, and I monitor at Bear Creek with Christina. I don't think she's here, but I've been monitoring for a long time and really love it.
Cool. Stacy Admin.
Well, hello, I'm Stacy Admin. I live here with Eric on the banks of Little Swamp Creek, and that's where we water monitor.
And you keep Eric in line.
Yes.
Haley.
Hi, I'm Haley Mateen. Myself, along with Troy Beckner, who I don't think was able to make it, monitor at Carkeek Park, where we have a group of 16 individuals kind of monitoring 8 different sites.
Brian Saunders.
Oh, hello. My name is Brian Saunders. I am a board member of the Lake Forest Park Stewardship Foundation, and we are sort of the stream keepers of Lake Forest Park, where we monitor Mackler and Lion Creek. And now, adding to our list of creeks, we are going to start sampling a very troubled creek called Bachetla Creek. I wrote an article in the Shoreline Area News, if anybody had seen that, about what a terrible state that creek is in. So we're going to try and see if we can restore it.
I did see that article.
That's fun.
Nancy Flowers.
Hi, I'm Nancy Flowers, retired chemistry teacher, currently monitoring Penny Creek and Mill Creek, and also North Creek. I seem to have gotten myself involved in 4 citizen science projects, plus I'm a master gardener in the last 2 years. So I'm doing lots of things.
It's good use of your retirement time. Anurag.
Hi, I'm Anurag. I do water monitoring at Reflection Lake near Forest Green Park in Bothell, and with James Fries. And besides that, I support in the restoration work at Swamp Creek. At Swamp Creek. Yeah, Wallace Swamp Creek Park. I think I forgot the name of the park. I always get confused with the name of that. But yeah. And professionally, I also do water quality modeling. That's what I do professionally.
Nice. Jim Loring. Got a new face on here. Oh, Jim, you're still can't quite hear you.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. I'm Jim Loring. I'm new at this. I'm interested in the subject and looking forward to getting some training, getting out there. I'm a fairly active volunteer with Fish, Friends of the Issaquah Salmon Hatchery, which is I enjoy quite a bit. So I'm looking forward to participating. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Thanks, Jim. Stacy Douglas.
Hi there. I'm Stacy Douglas, and I am working with 2 other people on Dubuque Creek that runs into Pilchuck. So it's like north of Snohomish and near Machias, that we're testing Dubuque Creek. We've started last May, and we've been testing every month. Since then, we've missed 1 month. But it was great to see lots of salmon running up the creek in October. So yeah, it's been great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Kelly Saska Juice.
It's Siscoyas, but good.
Oh, it's Siscoyas. Okay, well,
Anyway, I also am part of Friends of Saltwater State Park, and I partner with Kathy and Bob to sample at McSorley Creek.
Nice. Sonia Savelli.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, I'm Sonia Savelli. I monitor this little creek in Kirkland called Firwood Creek. It's by the Corbella Apartments in Juanita, and recently Kate Conan has been helping me.
Awesome. Anna Bachman.
Hi there. I'm Anna Bachman. I'm with Puget Sound Keeper Alliance. I'm the Clean Water Program Director there. I am working with Unleash the Brilliance to monitor Springbrook Creek in Kent and Renton, and we're doing quarterly monitoring also in Longfellow Creek in West Seattle. We also just completed our annual salmon survey, pre-spawn mortality survey in Longfellow Creek, and we'll be putting out results on that fairly soon.
And if you want to give a bigger update later on, I do have some space in our agenda for talking more detail about your programs.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Awesome. Joe Goheen.
Yeah, hi, I'm Joe Goheen, and I'm new to the group. I've been to a couple sampling events. One, I think, with Brian. That was my first one at Lake Forest Park, and I actually met him at a I forget what it was called.
Dreamfest.
A community event in Kenmore at Logboom Park. And anyway, I thought, well, this is something that I could do. And then I met Eric at the Swamp Creek Park a couple months ago. And I think I'm trying to get paired up with a person that samples the creek that goes into Logboom Park in Kenmore. And way back a long time ago, I got a degree in chemistry, so I at least know what pH is, but I've forgotten most of the rest.
And I know from leaving Joe a voicemail that he's also a piano tuner.
Right.
How about Mary Nakasone?
Yeah, hi, I'm Mary. I am brand new, haven't done a thing. All I've done is listen to you wonderful people talk, and I hope to be more involved. I do know Kate Conant, and she's already invited me to come out and do stuff with her. So whatever it is you do, I hope to do a lot of it.
Great. Cool. Did I miss anybody? All right. Okay, I'm going to go back to, oh, did I hear someone?
Yeah, Dave Bain. I'm board member with Sno-King Watershed Council. I'm looking for somebody to help me monitor on the Sammamish River before and after the Wayne Golf Course. And I also help teach a lot of the water quality monitoring lessons.
Awesome. Cool. And I see one more person joined us. We got Brian Hutchison.
Yes.
Just doing some quick intros if you wanted to just say who you are.
I'm a retired school principal. I've done monitoring at Puget Creek for River to Ridge. Looking for more opportunities to do this type of work. And so I'm just checking in and seeing what's going on.
Awesome. Okay. I'm going to jump back to our presentation.
Hey, Eric.
Yeah. Yes.
I think Danielle and I are both here too. Yeah, quick intro. Hi, everybody. Jeremy. I help monitor on 0056 at Logboom and Horse Creek while Eric's getting healed up, and then also help at Swamp Creek and Scribers. And I work with other monitors, Jenny and Danielle, and hopefully Joe, you'll be able to join us as well. And also am the secretary on the board here at Sno-King. So good to see all you good folks.
Cool. Then did you say Danielle's on there too?
Yeah, I'm here.
I guess I can't see everybody. There's more people than I can see. Danielle, do you want to say hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I did the trainings this past summer and have been partnered up with Jeremy at Logboom and also Horse Creek and Buffalo Landing. So I also do some water monitoring with the Salish Sea stormwater monitoring, but just excited to hear what your all feedback. So my partner is also here who tried to do some trainings last year.
Oh, cool. Joe?
Interrupt. Yeah, not to make this too long, but this seems like a good group of people to mention this to. My son, Eric, is running for King Conservation District Supervisor. So I will encourage you all to vote for him if you're in King County. Thank you.
And did I see Cameron Chapman jumping on here too? Cameron, you're muted.
This is Cameron from King County Department of Natural Resources, Stormwater Services. I'm doing work mostly right now on the Enumclaw Plateau, Boise Creek, Pussyfoot Creek, and Second Creek. Also a little bit in the city of Des Moines, Massey Creek, and a little bit in Bear Creek. But I'm interested to hear what everyone else is up to. Thank you for having me.
Sure. All right. That was awesome. We got a good bunch here. Okay, so that was our introductions. Now I'm going to talk about some upcoming events. So they say, so first of all, I'll just preface it and say that don't worry about remembering this or writing it down. They're all on our website. So they're on this page on our website. So if you go to the website, go to that page, you can find the same list that I'm going to go over, but I just wanted to touch briefly on the different training events and other things that we're planning to offer this year. And if you missed the website, I can email you the link too. So we have the water monitor meeting tonight. Next week, we have our first class, which will be a Zoom class, Introduction to Water Monitoring, and that kind of sets up the other classes. We'll have a class on physical and chemical monitoring, then a bacteria class. Then we'll have a field training session and recertification towards the end of March. And that will be out in the field at a stream location. And so that's one that you could attend if you're a new monitor going through training, or if you're a current monitor that needs recertification. I'm aiming this year, at least my initial plan is to have quarterly monitor meetings. So we may have some more of those. So this is what's tentatively planned for now. Then we've got a couple of new classes coming up, stream flow and habitat assessment, which we offered once last year. We're going to offer that again this year. There's a Zoom class, and then there's a practical session. We'll have an in-person meeting and recertification session in June. Then in July, we don't have a date yet on this one. There's an outreach event. So if anybody wants to attend this is a kind of a fun deal, depending on how busy it is and how hot it is. But we've had times where it's been pretty fun. You get kids coming by and you can talk with them about water and creeks and do water tests with the kids. So it's fun. Then we're going to have a stream biomonitoring and BIBI Zoom class, and then a stream biomonitoring practical session. So that's where we're studying the benthic macroinvertebrates in the creek in a method where you identify them, you learn how to identify them, you use a guide to identify them, and you come up with an index of water quality based on what sorts of stream macroinvertebrates you find. And then we'll also have a session on BIBI, benthic index of biotic integrity, which is a different, more quantitative way to assess the macroinvertebrate community in a stream. So we're going to be doing both of those. We have a potluck picnic event, which we did last summer, and it was a lot of fun. So we're going to do that again. Then August and September is when ideally we want to be out doing our, that's when you get the kind of the richest samples of the benthic macroinvertebrates. So if you want to do one of these types of sampling on a creek that you're monitoring, then that's a good time to do that sampling, and we can coordinate with lining you up with someone who has experience in that to do it. And we've got a community event in September, another monitor meeting, and then we have another field training session on Orca Recovery Day, which it looks like is October 12th this year. So again, this will be a practical one for people who've gone through the Zoom classes and our new monitors. And I think that is it. So that's the training schedule. And I wanted to just touch briefly on the training process for new monitors and for existing monitors. So we operate as part of Global Water Watch, and they have a quality assurance plan. And so as part of that, we try to make sure that everybody gets trained properly up front and then gets retrained periodically. So initial training consists of some reading, something to just make sure, test that you did the reading. There's a class that this year we're going to have some new classes. So we're going to try to get new monitors to attend those classes. Then there's a practical training session. After that, you get your certificate, and then you either pick a location yourself, or we can plug you into an existing location and you're able to go do monitoring. And so this is essentially the same process for most of the forms of monitoring that we do. If you're an existing monitor, then there's a recertification process, so kind of ongoing training. So after the first year for new monitors, every 2 years, if you've been monitoring regularly, you either attend a field training or recertification session, or when you're doing your regular monitoring, invite one of the trainers out to come monitor with you, and we'll just verify that you haven't forgotten how to do it. And then there's a short quiz for each area. So that's kind of the ongoing training process. And feel free as I go through, if anybody has a question on anything, just speak up. So we've had a couple different ways of collecting data over the years. Way back when, we had people just email their data sheets into a volunteer who entered them manually into a spreadsheet. And then we migrated to using the Global Water Watch database, which has its own strengths and weaknesses. And so right now we're exploring something a little more of a commercial product called ArcGIS Survey 123. And so I thought I'd give Dalen just a moment to talk about Survey 123, anything you want to talk about, kind of our plan moving forward.
Yeah. So once we're able to get the data from Survey, the previous survey data you guys collected, I'm gonna see its compatibility with being pre-uploaded into each one of these surveys. And the idea is that there will be 3 surveys, obviously the physical, chemical, bacterial, and biomonitoring for every single site. And those will be displayed clearly on the website. You mind if I screen share real fast?
No, go for it.
All right.
I'll stop sharing, and I think you should be able to.
Okay. Let's see, where is it? So here's a little just Windows, MS Paint drawing I made of it. So each survey will have, there will be a site, and then you can click on either the link or use a QR code that will take you to a survey for the chemical, bacterial, or biomonitoring for every single site. I'll have these pre-uploaded into the site. So a step that I need to do is create the surveys for, obviously, these 3 things for each site. And then from there, hold on, it'll take you to one of the surveys, and I'm going to give you a little example of that Eric created earlier.
And I'll just interject here that Dalen and I talked about some different options as far as the technical approach. And if we essentially preload, create unique surveys that are specific to the site, that way the site code, the water body, the watershed, the latitude and longitude will all be preloaded. So when you go out to your site, you won't have to re-enter that data every time. Where if we just use a generic survey form across all the sites, then we could still collect the data, but everybody would have to manually enter all that data every time. So we're essentially trying to make it easy on the monitors.
Exactly, make it a little more streamlined. So from there, you can input your data within one of these surveys. And the results can then be displayed back onto your guys' website instantly via graphs, tables, or other means. But that's going to be for a later part of the project. So step 1 is going to be getting the previous data uploaded to survey 1, 2, 3, the back end. And then the next step is going to be creating a sample survey for one of the sites, making sure that works, and then having that displayed via either iframes or hard-coded into the website, the graphs and tables of the results. So you guys are going to get like instant feedback from what you're doing to see, is it within EPA or state limits of either bacterial, chemical, or these other things you guys are sampling. But yeah,
will
that's
you
going
be
to
able to do this from your smartphone?
Yes, that's the idea. You can just take a QR code. You can either scan that QR code and it'll open the survey on your phone, or you can click on a link. Yes, that's the idea.
So the couple of things, and I see that Anna has a hand up here as well. Another thing I'm going to add is another thing that I'm looking at with Dalen is the ability to upload our existing Global Water Watch data, so that we don't just start collecting data from now into the future, because we have a lot of sites that we have a lot of historic data on, and I want to integrate it. So when you go to the map in ArcGIS Survey 123 map view, when you look at it there and click on a site, you would be able to view the historic data as well as the data that we're collecting now. So let me just go around and ask and call on people who have their hand up or have questions. Anna, did you have a question or comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to check on something because I have ArcGIS and I've been using Survey 123 for other purposes, but I was a little confused by it. Does Survey 123 allow just anybody who has who can access the QR code to enter data, or do you actually have to provide a license to everybody?
This is something I looked into it. The idea is you can have it open. There's multiple ways we can have security. So either on the site itself, you need to have a login in order to get to that page that has those links or QR codes, or in the survey itself, you can have the first question be a qualifier where you can't complete the survey unless the first question is answered correctly, and that'll be like a passcode. That's my understanding of the security measures that we can implement.
Yeah, the only downside so we have one single nonprofit license for ArcGIS, and so there is a Survey 123 phone app.
Yeah, it's downloadable off of the App Store.
Right, but the only person, either I would have to share my login with everybody, or I would be the only one who can use the app. So anybody can open, essentially they'll pull it up in a web browser on their phone, but they won't technically be using the app, because that would require me to have unique logins for everybody, which would require me to have accounts for everybody, which is a different issue.
Okay, I probably want to talk to you more about this because I've been running into this issue myself, but I'll let it go for now.
Yeah, for sure. And plus, you never know, Puget Soundkeeper might want to engage Dalen as a consultant.
Yeah, I'd be happy to help. I'd be happy to talk about it with you, Anna. Just you could get my email from Eric, and we could talk about it at some point.
Well, thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Dalen. Anything else that you want to share about it?
Does this cost anything to us?
No, it doesn't cost anything to us. Dalen and I are arranging for his programming time, but the nonprofit license is pretty inexpensive.
Oh, that's good.
On the order of like, I don't know, $100 a year or something like that.
And yeah, I'm gonna work on this job as cheaply and efficiently as I can for you guys. But yeah, that's on my end. I'm gonna make sure that it works out well for you guys.
Yeah.
I believe in what you guys do.
Other questions? Kathy?
So will monitors end up with a survey, a product that they could then also share on their friends group page or website?
Do you mean the survey itself or the results?
Yeah, the results, the survey, the results.
Yeah, not necessarily the survey, because you wouldn't want them to be able to just put things into the survey, but the
No, I
results,
don't,
yeah.
I mean the results.
Yeah. I think we
So
could
the
have those
public could
published.
still see our results without having to create the whole other thing that we now do.
Yes, I want to have that ideally integrated into your guys' website, actually. So you'll be able to click on a link that says results, and it'll show you on the map where is this site, the data points from you guys putting in, throughout time, and then whether or not it's within EPA or Washington standards, or well, you guys are more notable with the technical side, but if it's within standards, essentially.
And we'll see you later in this meeting. Actually, Bob and Kathy they manage their own data. They're not using the little Water Watch database, and they have their own way of producing a report on the data. So they may or may not be interested in this project, but you never know, it might be beneficial to them.
It sounds like it'd be a lot easier.
Also, I would like to get it into the database. I just haven't been able to use the GWW database for some reason, and so I'm doing this instead.
Which is another reason why we're moving towards a commercial product. Gary.
Yeah, just a question in terms of making sure that the data is correct is being entered. Is there going to be somebody that's going to be administering that, or how are you going to work that out so you're sure that the numbers that are going in are correct or follow some particular pattern that's necessary?
Yes, survey 123 can have parameters for what can be entered. So if there's like a value that it can't necessarily ever be above, so you can make it so you can't actually put a value above a certain amount, or you can do radio boxes as well. So you have to select, from a set values, depending on what you're looking at. Like obviously pH goes between what? Is it like 7 and 7? So like, you can pick higher than 7 or something like that.
But I guess what I'm also asking besides that is, instead of putting in 10, somebody puts in 100 or something like that. And then then the data is in there. And is anybody going to be checking it, so to speak? Maybe it's Eric, I don't know, but I don't want to give him more work.
It'll
but
show up on our, we
wondering,
can change results. Yeah. Individual results can be changed if something does go wrong.
And
but yeah, like as I said, it should be able to be made clear that you couldn't put 100 in the survey. If like 100,
it might be 100. It may be 100. I'm just saying that if the data gets entered incorrectly or something, so you can correct it. But if somebody throws it off, again, it's just something to think about, because we've had issues like that, and we do have somebody that basically checks our data input for reasonability, so to speak.
I would assume that Eric, you would have to go in and correct things after the fact, because the user wouldn't be able to correct it.
But there also is an option in survey 123 for essentially a review step.
Yeah. I'm sure there's an option for a quick edit too, but that's something we can look at.
All right, Bob has his hand up.
Yeah, all the data that I have is on a spreadsheet. Will there be a method of uploading that without having to re-enter it?
Yes, that's the ideal method. Actually, I love spreadsheets. So as long as there's coordinates attached to it, or you have coordinate points for the site, I gotta have that as an identifier as well as the site number. But as long as I have those unique identifiers, I believe I should be able to stitch it to the survey 123 as well.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm working on getting data right now from Sergio at Global Water Watch in some CSV format files that we can then upload as a layer in the ArcGIS Survey 123. All right, thank you. Let's see, Brian's got a question.
Just a quick one. Will the GWW site be shut off if we migrate?
No.
Okay.
It won't be shut off. I think, yeah, we're still going to have to. I mean, in fact, it is possible to go the other way as well. If we have data in appropriate spreadsheet format, we could conceivably, if we're collecting it one way, we could export it the other direction. It would just be a little bit more, some manual steps involved in doing that, but it is possible to do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it might be worth looking into the whatchamacallit, ArcPy, I believe, which is the automation library for ArcGIS, to see if there's a way to maybe even automate some of the inserting of those. That'd be nice, but I got to look into it. Some things can be automated.
Yeah, it's just kind of like wishing to find a GIS expert. And so I just threw my net out there at UW-Bothell. I asked Rob Turner, I was like, can you find me anybody? And he connected me with another professor who connected me with Dalen, who just finished a graduate program in GIS. And I was like, perfect. Okay, I'm going to go back and share my presentation a little bit. See where we took up. Okay, so all right, so we talked about that. The surveys will follow the paper form fields, and as we mentioned, Dalen's working on it. Okay, talk a little bit about our cards. So I just ordered, I think Thornton Creek Alliance has been using these for a while, but I ordered some 3 ml E.Coli only cards because the R cards are great, but still, even with them, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to count colonies. So I just thought this could be potentially easier to use, easier to read. So we can still, if you have a preference for the ECCA, we can order those. But we can also just get the E.Coli only. And Anna, do you have a comment on this one or a question?
Yeah, I'm finding I've only used the 3 mil and the ECC one that does E.Coli and total and just total coliform. And I found that 3 mil always seeps out the edges. I'm wondering if anybody else has had that problem. I'm thinking about
we've had better.
So Anna,
we've had better luck just doing 2 mil.
Yeah.
So Anna, let me answer that because we've been using the 3 mil for quite a while, and everybody, and we have big teams, working on this. Everybody has had good success. Initially, it was a problem, but what we do is dot the card starting from the top with small dots going across and then coming back, not going as close as 1/4 of an inch roughly from each edge. And then just drop the film on top of that, wait for a little bit, and then you can kind of gently spread it if you want. But we have not had any significant leaks since we've been doing that.
Have you used the ECC card? Because when I used it, I get E.Coli very well, but the total coliform is just like a field of pink. It's impossible.
Oh, yeah, no, we're just doing E.Coli, we got away from doing the other because it wasn't giving us valuable information that we needed anyway. So yeah, I'm just talking about the E.Coli card, the 3 mil E.Coli that Eric's talking about.
All right, thanks.
So Anna, I do the ECC card for Lake Forest Park, but I do Gary's method where that you do the dropping all the way back and forth until you get the very edge, and it does, you do get a lot of colonies, but it is easy to count. I don't have any problem counting the total coliform and the E.Coli.
All right. The other thing I found with these cards is that you really should read. Ideally, they're designed to be read at about 24 hours. Okay. Thermometers. I was using a couple thermometers the other day, and I realized that they didn't agree with each other. And it occurred to me that one of our kind of maintenance tasks with our program is calibrating these thermometers every once in a while. So my local research assistant looked up her information on calibrating thermometers, and basically the procedure is you make an ice water bath. So you get some crushed ice, you put it in a container, you put some water in there that's not quite as deep as the ice, and then you let it sit for a few minutes, put the thermometer in there, and it should read 0. And so I have a good handful of thermometers myself. And so I went through and did this process. And so out of the ones that I tested, I had out of like, I think 11 of them, I had 6 that were correct, had 1 that was broken, and had 4 that needed some sort of adjustment. So I just made a label, and just so for that individual thermometer that's in a kit, I just noted you have to add 1 to correct the value on that 1 thermometer. So just an ongoing thing you want to do periodically. So anybody can do this procedure. And I would just recommend it if you have a kit, if you're like the main kit owner and you use these type thermometers, that you do that. One other thing I want to talk about at this time of year that comes up, because I've seen other examples of this, is turbidity related to stormwater coming off of construction sites. Typically, it's worse during rainy season. Construction sites are technically supposed to implement what are called temporary erosion and sedimentation control measures. Those are things like silt fences and other methods for containing the runoff. But sometimes they don't actually do that. It might be in the plans, but the contractor doesn't implement it, or sometimes they fail. And so you see something like this. So I just want to encourage you to keep your eyes open for stuff like this as you're out doing your monitoring, driving around, whatever. Look for this. Agencies really don't have enough eyes in the field to keep up on all these construction sites and issues, although ideally they would. We actually had this issue just in a project going in across the street from us right here in Kenmore. So you can report it. Everybody should have access to these turbidity tubes. These are the NTU turbidity tubes. They're either direct read, or you do a conversion based on the depth. And so you can measure the turbidity. It helps to have a baseline beforehand, which typically around here, things are not very turbid. And then you can report it to ecology and local jurisdiction. We've encountered this in Bothell and have reported it both to the Department of Ecology and to the city of Bothell. We've also done the same thing in Kenmore, and in both cases, they've been pretty responsive. This is how you would report it to Department of Ecology. They just have a website that you can go on, and there's a phone number that you can call. And Anna, Puget Soundkeeper has something on this too, right?
Sorry, yeah, I think you can report this to King County as well, and I'm thinking SPU within the city limits, but ecology is a good source.
And doesn't Puget Soundkeeper have a guide on pollution, reporting pollution?
I mean, basically what you've just said is what we say about, if you see a construction site and you see muddy water coming off of that site, that's reportable, that they're not supposed to allow that to happen. If you see it running into a stream, that's a violation. And a lot of people just drive on by, don't even bother to notice that. But if you guys notice that, you should definitely report it. It's a very important violation to report.
Cool, thanks, Anna. Okay, and then I just wanted to open it up for, this is an event that we did with Unleash the Brilliance, Puget Soundkeeper, and World Vision last summer. So I just wanted to give anybody who wanted to share. In fact, I'm hoping that people are here with different programs. So we'll just take them a few minutes to share what's going on with their program. So I'm going to stop sharing myself right now, and I'll just call on folks. Brian, did you want to talk about Lake Forest Park Streamkeepers?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we're in our, boy, I don't know how many years we've been doing. Before me, probably 10 plus. But yeah, this year we had just a great year of, we got our BB results. We had some good surprises that showed up in our creeks. So that was always fun. And we've continued to monitor discharge as well on a quarterly basis. And I think Eric and I are going to get together, but we also were very fortunate. We got partial funding from the Water Watch group, the King County Water Watch group. So we're going to expand our investigations, and I'm a college instructor, so I'm going to get some students involved to help out. So we're going to be doing a lot more studies of Lion and Mackler Creek, and as I mentioned, we're also now going to be probably tackling Bachetla Creek, which I don't know if anybody knows where that is. It's sort of in the southern region of Lake Forest Park. It's a creek that actually is the only one that still bears the Lashutsi name, which is kind of sad that it's the most degraded and the most neglected. But yeah, we found just old tires were obviously thrown down there probably over the last 40 or 50 years. I counted at least 20 tires within a 30-foot span. The creek is completely dead. We did a BB analysis of it. It's basically scored a 17 out of 100. So just a horrible state. It's one of those things that we're motivated to see what we can do to kind of get the public involved and restore it.
Where is this creek?
It's essentially, if you know Lake Forest Park at all, it is there's an old Sheridan Market that is right there on Bothell Way, and it's just south of that. So I would say probably about a quarter mile north of 145th. And there's an acacia cemetery that's just up there in the hill. Just Briarcrest kind of is where the headwaters are, and it kind of makes its way down underneath Bothell Way through a culvert, and then sort of into this incredibly deep ravine where all this debris has been thrown. So not only that, but this valley is completely overrun with invasives. So it's a big project. Many years are going to probably take to restore it. But yeah, it was one of my devastating moments of 2023.
Ryan?
Yeah.
Did you by any chance, when you did the BB stuff, were there New Zealand mud snails in Lion Creek?
We did get, yep, we did get them. We got them in both creeks, I think.
Okay.
Not too many.
Sort of hoping it wouldn't be in Lion Creek.
Not too many. Oh, I will say, by the way, one of the other cool, I guess one of the bright spots we had this year, we had Dr. Jeff Jensen, who's part of the Stewardship Foundation and has been licensed to rear cohos and have them released in Lion Creek. We actually had a salmon 3-year-old from the time that we started this program return and spawn. So very exciting moment for that. We're really excited. We're going to have a big celebration about that.
Cool. I bet the Barneses are happy.
Yeah, the Barnes are very happy.
Crazy.
And our Dr. Jeff Jensen is also the one that's probably next year. He said that he's got Department of Ecology's okay to start putting kokanee back into both Lion and Mackler Creek, but I think we're going to start with Lion Creek, which once apparently were filled with the kokanees. So that's exciting news too.
It's a trout.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. I'm going to call on some other folks. Gary Olson, you want to give us a quick rundown on TCA? What you're up to? You're muted.
All right. Yeah, happy to. So on our just a couple of projects that we're involved with in general, we have a knotweed knockout program that's been going for the last couple of years on Thornton Creek that we're working with Earth Corps on that. We've got quite a bit of knotweed on the northern parts of the creek. So that's the area we're kind of focusing on right now. We also got a grant this last year to do a flood modeling study on Little Brook Creek, which is an arterial that runs into the north channel of Thornton Creek. and is prone to flooding. And that runs kind of in the Lake City area. So it's a diverse neighborhood, and it wasn't getting the attention that we thought it needed to have when they had done other studies on Thornton Creek. So we got a grant to do that. So that's going on. And then we got a third grant that's involved with looking at the area we call the Beaver Pond Natural Area, which is just to the east of Northgate. And there's been a lot of increase in housing in that area because of the light rail. But we have a active beaver area there, but also we have a traffic issue in that area. So we basically got a grant to talk to the neighborhood to get their thoughts of what they'd like to see in that area. It's again a start of a kind of a major project that might involve traffic changes to access to the natural area, etc. So those are some of the grant areas. We also have a land use committee, which is looking at the opportunities to purchase land around the Thornton Creek watershed that we can turn into natural areas as they become available. Then I'll just mention on our monitoring program, this is the 7th year of our monitoring program. We basically have monitored 38 sites in the north, south, and arterials of Thornton Creek. We routinely are doing about 21 now. We monitor every other week. We've got 3 schools involved with 4th and 5th grade students that go out and monitor while the schools are in session. And it's been a pretty successful program. And I'll just mention one issue that we had this year. We give our sites numbers. So site 13 is actually on the Little Brook Creek area, and site 14 is further down the creek. And we started to see significant differences in the E. coli levels between those 2 sites. So we did go in and do a more concentrated study between those sites to see if we could figure out where the problem was. And unfortunately, there's a big area between those sites that's through a pipe. So we really couldn't check the pipe out. But we talked with SPU, and they said, well, that they had tested out of the pipe and they didn't see anything wrong. So we've given this over to the Department of Ecology. SPU passed it on supposedly to see, because there's 3 houses whose sewer lines run under the creek. So maybe we'll find something. We're hoping we will, but I just wanted to pass that on as well. So again, it's been a good program. We've been really enjoying using the R cards, significant improvement in waste material and time spent, etc. So it's been a big improvement in our program, we think. And any questions?
Thanks, Gary.
Well, one more thing I'll mention, because you mentioned about temperature calibration. So at our last quarterly meeting, we actually did calibrations on our conductivity meters. And interestingly, a number of them were out of calibration. So we actually recalibrated them, and one of them was actually wasn't able to even be calibrated. So we had to communicate with the vendor on that one. So again, I think it's important as you're using these conductivity meters that you do set up a periodic calibration. It's not that difficult.
Hey Gary, what conductivity meter do you guys use?
I think we use the same ones as you guys do. Let's see it here. It's a COM 80. And maybe you don't use that, but that's what we're using, a COM 80. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I think that's the same one that we did training on.
Yeah. So basically that's the one that, and all of the teams have that. So we have like 8 or 9 of those out in the field right now.
All right, I'm gonna move on to get a chance to hear from a couple other groups. Bob, do you want to talk about what's going on with you guys at McSorley Creek?
Sure. We are only sampling one spot. Kelly's doing the first week, and I'm doing the third week of each month, and then we generate reports and send them to a bunch of people. Friends of Saltwater Creek is a group that's associated with the state park there, and we saw high E. coli pretty much since last fall, until the sampling on January 22nd, when we saw no colonies at all. And so I have been wondering what was going on there. We haven't been able to come up with any kind of a reason for that. But other than that, things have been good.
Awesome, thanks. And Bob produces a really spiffy report that he emails out to a lot of people.
Okay, I'll do this and show you the report. Let's see. No. Here's the report. I just have to find out what to do with the rest of this stuff. I'll do that. Okay, so here's.
Can you see it?
Can you see this report? What?
No.
Oh, I've tried to share screen. Let's see. Microsoft. Okay, try that one. Okay, can you see that one?
Yes.
Okay, so every month we put, or every sampling period, we put out a report. We have 3 charts on it, a lot more parameters, but to save space, we're using just 3 different scales. Anything that fits 0 to 12 scale, we put on there. That includes pH/DO, turbidity. And you can see this one shows 6 months from behind, because with beginning of a new year, we need some history to show, and that it pretty much follows what DO would normally be expected to be under those temperatures. And then we have alkalinity, hardness, percent saturation for oxygen, air temperature, and water temperature on a 0 to 140. Now, water temperature would fit on the other chart, but it gets too busy, so I stuck it on here. And then we use a log chart for E. coli, and we're also doing nutrients, and so we're putting those in there too, because they're so low they wouldn't show up anywhere else. Then we have some acknowledgements, and then the actual values are presented on the second page. You see all of the parameters over here. A couple of things there. We do use the spreadsheet to calculate percent oxygen saturation, coliform geometric mean, and some of the other things. And then we have a short discussion of what we found in the latest sampling. Mostly it's just pointing out things that we thought were of interest. And then the third page shows the water quality ranges that we found to be generally considered acceptable for each of the parameters that we test.
And these are printed out and posted in the state park, one of the kiosks, and also on the Friends of Saltwater State Park Facebook page, and on the website for the Friends website, not the state parks website.
Yeah, this is set up on a Microsoft Word using a spreadsheet, paste and cut and paste for the data, and then it's printed out as a PDF to send out.
So
once the system is set up for the ArcGIS survey, I think a lot of those graphs you'll be able to produce it automatically.
I've looked at ways of doing that, but I'm not enough of a computer genius to do it, so I do it manually.
Some of the E. coli samples seem pretty high to me.
Yeah.
Is that 3-month highest single? Some of the E. coli samples, I saw like 1,200. They seem
yeah,
pretty
they were. We were really concerned that they were high.
Yeah.
And McSorley Creek does have salmon coming up and spawning. It also has a wastewater treatment plant that has had issues.
Well, the treatment plant is not on this creek. There is a pumping station that has had 1 or 2 overflows, but this is too continuous to be due to that. They just upgraded all of their piping, and so there should not be any leakage out of that. We don't really know why the E. coli is so high. So the red line shows the 3-month moving average, which should be over 100 for any recreational purposes. and the yellow line shows the upper limit for that. So yeah.
Well, Eric, we had talked to you about trying to do the DNA sample to find out if this was human or wildlife generated E. coli. Is there any update on that?
Sure. Well, I'll give you the short story. The short story is that Gary Olson and I wrote a grant to do this DNA research, and we contracted with a particular vendor, this scientist out of a lab in California, and the results just haven't been as straightforward or reliable as we had hoped due to a variety of issues. So we don't have a lot of good insight to offer about the source. We were hoping that we could find like a DNA, if you had high E. coli, that you search the DNA results and find something that indicates, hey, we're finding high E. coli and we're finding a lot of DNA from XYZ source, particular animal or human source or whatever. But we haven't found that straightforward of a correlation with the data that we've got so far. So we're kind of a little bit back to the drawing board. We're still waiting on some additional results from the same analysis.
And I think there was a problem with the location of the Saltwater State Park and McSorley Creek being out of the range for your King County fund.
Yeah, that's not the issue.
So one of, can you hear me?
Yeah.
One of the with the numbers that you're getting, which are appear to be high, and the only thing I would mention is obviously if you're getting really high numbers during, say, a rain event, that is not untypical. But if you're getting some of these high numbers under kind of normal conditions and your flows, I don't know what the flow is like in that creek, but if the flow,
these are mostly under very low flow conditions.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's pretty low. So the E. coli can obviously move around a lot more than in a higher stream. But if you're concerned, if for me, I would get to King County and have the King County lab do a humanoid analysis on this, and so that they'll do that for you if there's a concern. I don't know again the size of the creek and how they work, but we've had that analysis done from time to time.
Okay, yeah, check that out.
King County, Jeremy works for.
Well, Jeremy is doing
King County.
The temperature and flow monitoring.
Yeah, because they want the because of hoping to bring back shellfish.
Yeah.
In the
Poverty Bay.
location, Poverty Bay.
Yeah. So yeah, the King County Environmental Lab, I would try to connect with them.
Yeah. Okay, great.
All right, thanks, Bob. Hopefully Anna is still with us. I was hoping Anna could talk about what's going on with Puget Sound Keeper.
Yeah, I'm having trouble with the Zoom meeting going on. I can't provide any links, but we've just put out our last year's Springbrook Creek report, in which we compared Springbrook Creek in Kent and Renton to May Creek in Renton. We're now, as I said in the intro, we're now doing quarterly monitoring in Springbrook and in Longfellow Creek. So our reports are going up on our Puget Sound Keeper website under our Lost Urban Creeks project. We also finished our salmon pre-spawn mortality surveys. As at last note, we were still waiting on data from one of the volunteers, but we were, I think, hovering around 40% pre-spawn mortality rate for Longfellow Creek this past survey. And Soundkeeper is actually interested in connecting with any groups. I think we've already connected with Carkeek. Anyone else who's doing salmon surveys on more salmon spawning surveys. So if there's any interest out there or folks that are doing that, you could contact me, put your name in the chat. And lastly, I'll just say that, well, there's two last things. One is that we are planning to do a driving tour, a guided driving tour, hosted by the youth of Unleash the Brilliance of Springbrook Creek in, I think, the first Saturday in September. That's our goal. This is a summer project that the youth will be working on, and we want to invite as many people who would like to participate to see our creek as possible. So I'll be letting you know as we get closer to that date. And the last thing is that in addition to our Lost Spring Creeks project, we have a new project at Soundkeeper called Salmon and Legacy Tires, in which we're actually looking at legacy debris that's been in the river for a very long time, which often includes tires. We're focusing in on the Duwamish, but we're developing resource materials, outreach materials for this project over the course of the next 2 years. We'll be doing big cleanups, hopefully maybe even tackling a few tire revetments in the Duwamish. But I know that, I mentioned there was the mention of the creek that's suffering from a lot of tire dumping. It's a big problem, and maybe we could have some resources with you. So I'll put my email in the chat, and if you need to contact me, please do.
And Anna, if any of that information, links, etc., you want to share with me, I'll post it on our Water Watch website, and I can also email out to all the water monitors. One person had to leave. Haley was in our meeting earlier. She's with Carkeek Watershed Community Action Project, and they have I think about 15 monitors, something like that, that are monitoring in the Carkeek in the Pipers Creek watershed, which flows through Carkeek Park in North Seattle into Puget Sound. And Haley put something in the chat before she left, which was she said she wanted to share that they've had some beaver friends show up at Carkeek Park this year, causing significant flooding on the creek. And they're trying to figure out what sort of an effect that's having on water quality. And she posted a link in the chat, and I can also share the chat with everybody after the fact, but she posted a link in the chat to an article in the Seattle Times that was done with the salmon program director about what's going on with Carkeek Park and the beavers and the water quality. So I'll share that as well. So that's what's going on with that program, and that's one of our partner programs that they're operating kind of with under our support. Is there anybody else who, just as an individual or as representing a group, I didn't get a chance to kind of share what's going on, that had something that they wanted to share? Or did I get almost everybody? And there's also some other good links in the chat for those people who pull up the chat.
So, Eric, one thing, as you're mentioning about beaver, Thornton Creek Alliance had a general meeting. It's a public meeting that we have, and we had a woman, Pamela Adams, who's a beaver expert, if you will, for the area, gave an amazing presentation with a lot of great photographs and videos. She primarily is working in the Longfellow area, but again, if anybody was interested in either getting to see her site or having her potentially speak to a group, I'm sure she'd be very happy to do that. So I'll just mention that.
Sure. Then I'll actually add one more thing. I attended a webinar, and I wish I could remember the jurisdiction, but there's a city in Oregon that had a engineered stormwater treatment facility that got invaded by beavers. They basically beaver dammed the whole thing. And so it had like this 11-acre facility where the water's supposed to take this special path through, and beavers just made a ton of dams in it. And instead of just blowing up the dams and getting rid of it, they actually did a study to see what the effect was of these beaver dams on their stormwater treatment. And essentially, they selectively removed some dams so that they could study how the system functioned without the dams, and then let the beavers repair the dams, compare how it functioned after the dams. And what they found is that the engineered stormwater facility was more effective with the beaver dams than it was without the beaver dams, because it did a better job of filtering out like heavy metals, other specific pollutants, because the beavers essentially create like a matrix of wood and mud and soil that is a better filter than this engineered system.
Yeah.
Beavers are the engineers of nature.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
They are.
Yeah, we gotta live and work with them.
All right, well, I'm just gonna share a couple of closing just thank yous to our people who support us as always. So thank you, first of all, to all of you for what you do, for partnering with us and participating. Thank you to, we get support from our King County Council member, Rod Dembowski, and also the King County Waterworks Grant Program. We get support from Global Water Watch, and we also get some support from Cascade Water Alliance. So thanks to all of you, and thanks to all of them. And anybody have any other good of the order items they wanted to bring up?
Hey, this is Cameron from King County.
Hey, Cameron.
This might only be of interest to the people who were talking about McSorley Creek earlier. You mentioned the name Jeremy.
Yes.
Jeremy Walls from King County, who was doing monitoring of the different creeks that flow into Poverty Bay. And as you know, that work is funded by the state Department of Health because of the shellfish issues there and the bacterial pollution issues there. And actually, I'm taking over the sampling work for the next 6 months from Jeremy because he has a new job. And right now, the grant is only paying for monitoring in the Massey Creek Basin, and they're not currently taking samples in McSorley. Over the past years, we have taken samples from McSorley and run them for the human biomarker, which is called Q2 bacteroidetes. But the results have not given strong evidence of human contamination. That said, things can change. And the King County Environmental Lab is able to analyze samples for that marker, which I think is about the best thing that we know of. But it's kind of expensive. It's going to be around $250 a sample for that. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. As far as longer term plans to monitor McSorley Creek by the county and with the state Department of Health, I'm not sure beyond like 2024.
Right.
Anyways, I'll stop there.
We did not catch your last name, Cameron.
It's Chapman, Chapman.
Is there any interest in receiving any of the E. coli data that we're getting?
I would love to be on your email list.
Okay.
Can you share your email with us?
Yeah. I can also connect you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Great to see you. And we'll see you shortly.
Thank you.
Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Good night.
Y'all are awesome. I hope I'm gonna enjoy working with you guys. Get that